friends, it's Kelly. Thanks so much for being here. This is the layout we're going to do together today, and this is the mixed media pad that I used in the paintbrush bristle part to have my cut file inserts look like I've been painting in the garden. And I've done a couple of the paintbrushes already. This is the paper that I used to fill the brush handle. It's Paige Evans' beautiful Splendid collection, and I used paper that's foiled in the 6x8 paper pad, and I also used some mink foil, and you'll see how that goes coming up. Whenever you use your mink foiling tool, you always have these little bits left over, and this is kind of a fun way to use it up. So if you've watched any of my process videos before, you might remember that I saved the covers to my silhouette cutting pads to use them for mixed media projects like this. I don't often do too many, so this is kind of an adventure for me, but I do like how it turned out, and so I thought I wanted to share it with you. So I'm just going through a couple of the items that I used, and I also cut a couple pieces with some metallic paper that I had in my stash. The ring in the brush and the little bar section that's just under the handle, I cut that out of gold foil paper as well. This is the watercolor mixed media paper, and I cut two and glued them together. Because I'm going to be adding some sequins on top, and I wanted it to be quite sturdy. And there's Paige's cute cut file. So let's get started with the mixed media. I think I might use a couple of oxide inks here in the yellow color scheme just to get a variation. So just add some water to the oxide inks that you swipe onto your mixed media work surface, and I chose to just dip my paper into the ink rather than use a brush to apply it. Tried it both ways. I used a brush on one, and then I used this dipping method on another, and I just thought it looked more random and a little more natural. So maybe you want to try both, or just use your own favorite mixed media methods. Watercolor inks like I am here. I recommend drying each layer of watercolor really well with your dryer. So I'm just applying little dabs of glue stick, just glue stick that I got at the dollar store, onto the bristle parts that we just used oxide inks on. And then I burnish with my fingers and a bone folder bits of mink foil paper that I have left over from other projects. And that just adds a little bit of gold foil that will complement the other gold accents that I'm adding into this layout as we go along. So I'm going to glue in my bristles into the cut file, and I made my brushes approximately 6.5 inches by 3 3/4 inches, and the three of them fit my design nicely in that size, so I could add some photos beneath them. I've got my bristles painted and foiled, and I'm going to add foil behind the bars in the cut file, and glue in the top brush part just to finish off my paintbrush. And my idea was to have these brushes be painting the colors in my garden, swiping on yellow, pink, and mauve, because that's the flower scheme I went with in my garden pots this year, and they look so pretty, and it's just so much nicer to be outside and enjoying the colors and the bumblebees and birds singing. I'm definitely a summer person. Add a ring in the brush handle, and I cut that 3 times, twice out of cardstock, white, and one's out of gold foil paper, and layered them all together because I like the dimension. And this is a little splatter that I'm adding here with a stamp, or part of a stamp, and I just find it looks nicer for me than trying to splatter with a brush. It never ends up going where I want it to be. I know it should be random, but I just like this better. And I use the end of my paintbrush, just the tip there, to add some gold foil paint. And then there's some gold stickles. Hey, do I like gold? I think so. And so, 3 paintbrushes. And if you have any questions about the brushes, just let me know in comments. So the next step was to add some glitter to the bottom of my paintbrush. And I created an outline of the cut file in my Silhouette Design Studio. And this is just to add some sturdiness to the brush, because I'm going to be adding some sequins to each brush along the bottom, and then sort of sprinkling those sequins beneath the brush too, because I wanted it to look like it was swiping color and shine and prettiness in my garden. So that's my plan. And I just used liquid glue. I used tacky glue in my fine line bottle to randomly add sequins in several different shades of the specific color. In this case, I'm working on the yellow brush, and I do the same for the pink brush and the mauve brush, and they're all just sequins from my stash. So I'm going to show you just quickly how I go about adding stitching holes to my background. I have this ruler. It's got a bunch of holes in it. You can get it probably at your local sewing shop. And I drew the pencil lines for where I wanted to stitch actually in Silhouette Design Studio. I just used the pencil adapter with a HB pencil, and it drew the outline for my frame as well as the stitch lines on my scalloped paper. And if you're interested on how I scalloped my background, you can visit my silhouette tutorial for the same page on my YouTube channel. I didn't add it to this process video because it was a little longer than usual. So check that out. So I'm just showing you how I do my chain stitch. You start off with a single straight stitch, go in the next hole and back under the previous stitch you made. If you get a knot, you'll have to just undo it. I've never really had one that I couldn't undo. It helps if you stop and let your needle dangle at times, so it twirls out and becomes straight again. You'll get less knots. So in a hole under the previous stitch and back down through the hole you came from. Let's do one more. Go in the hole under your previous stitch and back down through the hole you came from. And I'm going to go all the way around, making a frame and adding beads every 5th stitch. And they're just little glass beads I get at Michael's, and you'll have to make sure you get the ones that allow your needle to pass through, because I've goofed a couple times and I have beads that I can't sew on. And so very easy, and I thought it looked really pretty. So I've done all my stitching there, and I just did a running stitch for the wavy stitches underneath the paint brushes, because I'm going to be adding some other things under there, and a lot of it's going to be hidden. So I'm popping up this scalloped background with my 3D foam tape. I get that at scrapbook.com. Comes in a pretty big roll, and it's very reasonably priced. And I just really like it. I just cut off the length that I want, and it doesn't take much to pop up an entire background. So I'm centering that on paper 17 from Paige Evans' beautiful Splendid collection. The colors were perfect for my design, And I like that it's so full of flowers to show along the border, but also had a white background to match the scallop background. And so I'm going to also pop up my finished paint brushes with some 3D foam tape and add a couple of leaves from the Floral Ephemera pack just to bring in that beautiful spring green color, uh, so that I could use a few more elements from the collection in the green color. So, I'm focusing on mauve, yellow, and pink, and the green color is going to be sort of my accent color. And it matched the epoxy sticker that says growing, and that's going to be part of my title. So once I have the brushes popped up and adhered to my background where I wanted them, I thought the handles where the hole is absolutely needed some twine. And this gold and white twine I got at Michael's. It's part of, I believe, Martha Stewart's party collection where you get colored straws, colored bags. I think she has ribbons and whatnot. So check for it there if you can't find gold and white twine in your local scrapbook store. And I like to tie a knot at the end so that it has a nice place to add some glue and affix the string down after you've shaped it how you'd like to see it on your layout. So now I'm going to make some teeny tiny flowers to fall beneath the paint brushes within the paint swipes, also known as my stitching beneath the brushes. And this is the size I cut the set as in the Silhouette Design Studio. So pretty small. And when you put them together, they work out to be about a half an inch. And I just use my quilling tool for the rolled flowers. It has a little slit in the top and helps you roll up the flowers very easily. And there's a little tab on the bottom of your rolled flowers that you can add glue to and hold it while it dries, and it makes like a really pretty little rose. So I made 3 colors, mauve, yellow, and pink. And beneath my work there, you'll see the cut files that I used. They're all Paige Evans cut files. Pause the video if you want to write them down. There's also information and links in my blog today. So the photos that I used are, the bigger ones are 1.5 inch and the smaller ones are 1 inch. And I'm going to add them beneath the brushes as if the brushes have painted my garden with those colors. So yellow under the yellow brush, mauve under the mauve, and pink under the pink. So sometimes people will ask me, how long did that take you? And I'm quite a slow scrapbooker. I don't mind spending 3 or 4 days on one page. Just because I like to play with all the details and enjoy the product. And I'm in no rush. I want to enjoy each and every layout. And, the stitching does take a while, but as you know, I really do love the look of it on my designs. So I don't mind investing the time, and for me, it's all fun. So once I get my photos in place, I go ahead and just use some liquid glue in my fine line bottle to attach all my little flowers. And I wanted to make them in 3 different types just because not all my flowers in my garden are petunias, not all of them are lobelia. I like to mix it up and get as many different yellow flowers as I can find, as many different pink flowers as I can find. So I do limit the colors, but not the type of flowers. So that's why I chose to make the flowers in from 3 different cut files that Paige has. So we're coming to near the end of this layout. I'm sorry the video is so long, but there was just a lot of steps in making it, so I did want to share what the parts that I thought were important. So I've added the butterflies. They're from the cardstock stickers, and I'm going to go ahead and finish my title. I've dabbed on a little more gold here and there, and I thought at first I was going to keep my title as Keep on Growing, and I used some colored alphabet, but I decided to make the word keep all in the pretty gold alphabet, and then I used a couple colors for the word on. And to fit it in, I actually used the 0 instead of an O because it's a little narrower, and actually the color was right. So, you know, there's that option too. If you can't find the right O, then check out the numbers in your thickers. So guess what? I'm adding more gold paint. And just in between the flowers and photos, and a little bit around my title, because I think I did add a bit before, but some of the items have covered it up. So I just add a little bit more. And there's my title, Keep on Growing. I hope they do well this year. It's a hit and miss thing. Throughout June, it's just been raining nonstop. It's all good for the earth. So finishing off with a few more sequins beneath the paintbrush. And again, I kept this all very tight, layering some of them, tucking them under some of the photos. I just wanted to keep everything tone on tone, really close beneath the brush, as if it made a swipe of color in the garden. And I carried on and finished the pink and yellow, and I stamped the date using multiple ink colors. I like how it ends up looking kind of like a rainbow. So I want to thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Paige Evans, for the cut files and beautiful Splendid collection. I'm having so much fun with it, and adds a lot of joy to my day. If you have any questions, please leave them in comments below. There's a little more detail in the description box, and we'll see you again soon. Likes and subscribes are always appreciated. Thanks so much. Have a great week. Bye-bye.